Did you feel that those boring consoles could at least somehow represent our favorite games? From this time my console will be completely different. I will build a case for the Xbox dedicated to Hogwarts Legacy, and it will turn into Hogwarts Great Hall. Not everything went as planned, but more about that later. For this case, half of the building should be enough. I began with side walls and then I cut the channel where we later placed the roof. Now I need this front wall and this entrance. This wall will support the roof and it's not visible, so let's move to the next layer of that wall. The front wall has a stepped gable, so I drew it on a foam and I cut them with a hobby knife. Later, I will trace here the bricks, but more about it later. All those walls are starting to look like a building, but there are few holes missing in the front wall. It's missing a place for a power button, USB connector and of course the disk drive. I trace all of them on the paper and then to the foam. I kept actual size of the hole for the power button and later you will understand why, but for the USB and the disk drive I added a few millimeters around. And now, when the front wall is ready, then it was time to start this entrance. In architecture, it's called a portal. A portal is an opening in a wall of building, gate or fortification, especially a grand entrance to an important structure. I cut one layer of thick foam and later I use it to prepare thinner layers. And now for the entrance to the grand hall, I drew it on foam and then I cut it with a hobby knife. To create each layer for the portal, I used the previous layer and I added around 5 mm inside. 9 layers are enough because later I will add a door inside. And then all layers I glue on with PVA glue. When the main entrance is nearly ready, we can move to build the small portal. Both structures I will combine together, but now I'm starting off with pre-cut parts. I then began sketching out the main opening. A portal is made by stacking 4 layers of foam glued together. Then I began cutting the bottom layers to merge them together into one entrance. Now I glue side walls to inner front wall and then outside layer I attach to it. After this I apply the glue on the rear wall by spreading it on whole surface and then I join them together. I put some glue into the previously cut channels. Rectangular roof which fits between the walls got glue on the edges. Then I put the pieces in the right place. I also glued top edge and now glue needs to dry, and it was everything for that day. Another architecture element in the Hogwarts building is a turret. A turret is a small tower that projects vertically from the wall of a building such as a medieval castle. It may contain staircase if it projects higher than the building. When the glue is curing between walls, I've done a small turret for the front portal and one big for top roof. I cut a hole in the main roof to place it partially inside. Next on my list is the buttress. In all buildings, a buttress is an architectural structure built against or projecting from a wall which serves to support or reinforce the wall. And on top of it is a pinnacle, is an architecture element originally forming a cap or crown of a buttress or a small turret. I cut stripes of foam and I made the pinnacle where I placed the cardboard pillars. Rest of the structure is a combination of stripes and square pieces. In total, I made 8 long buttresses and 2 short, which will be placed above side window. I cut 2 side walls for each side of the portal. In one of them there will be pocket for console disc. And now I remove foam from inside, leaving just a thin walls around that pocket. Inside this pocket the disc can hide when it's ejected. Let's move to attach all buttresses around the building. I started cutting the channels in the side walls. Here should be 4 on this side, but when I draw them, I do not realize my mistake. I forgot that 3rd channel should be short because the window will be below. I quickly fix it on another side and I glue properly the small buttress here. On first wall it was too late to replace the wall, so then I glued the buttress and bottom channel I filled with additional foam strip. Top turret got a portion of hot glue. Last buttress I attached to the entrance wall. I left the glue gun for too long without use and the glue got too hot and melts foam during application, but on the surface was still enough glue to attach them together. This wall is loose and it's not attached to the whole structure. My idea is to add magnets. Firstly, I mount the screw into the wall and then I push the wall against it. Screws leaves marks on foam surface where I need to insert the magnets. I use hot glue to insert two 5mm neodymium magnets. Now it works fine, so I did it also on another side. I then began sketching out the side windows. I sketched two windows on cardboard and then I cut holes in the wall for them. The windows were made from thin foam and from inside I glue white cooking paper for diffusing the inner light. From inside I glued the RGB light and near the console power button I placed the light sensor. Its purpose is to detect when the console is on and then can trigger the lights. Last details and then we can move to the next steps. With a sharp knife and a small piece of foam I cut horizontal lines on the foam surface. Later I made vertical lines to create a brick pattern. Cuts are around 8 to 10 mm between each other. This was done all around the Great Hall, also on buttresses and turrets. In the next step I use a basic pencil to push foam inside to create more depth in the bricks. Wood pencil works fine here because it slides nicely on foam surface. Now I build the power button. I use copper wire to create a recognizable sign. It's not related to the game, but I'm sure that you can recognize it from Harry Potter books. This will be the symbol of Deathly Hallows. I solder all of them together, then I attach it to the slice of hot glue. It will provide light from Xbox button to the light sensor to detect when it's turned on. Now it's time for painting. I use black gesso as a primer for the main structure. It's quite cheap for a 1 liter bottle. I use it inside and outside the grand hall. Deep black cover all different foam colors with ease. The mixture of titanium white and grey will create a stone look. I apply it on all sides where I previously traced the bricks. The roof I leave because I have a different plan for it. I thought to add some more colors like yellow, grey and green. But when I saw the results I realized that is going in the wrong direction. Finally, I need to repaint whole building with the initial grey to cover my mistake. Now it's much better. For next layer I use black paint mixed with water. It must be thinned so it flows easily. I pour it with brush on the walls. After few seconds I wipe off the excess with a paper towel. Let's now move to the roof. To create the roof tiles I decided to use thick black paper, which eliminates the need for priming. After cutting 20mm strips from the paper, I then cut them into 5mm tiles with some variation to achieve more realistic look. Once I had enough tiles, I attached them to the roof using PVA glue. Small square pieces I glued to the top of pinnacle. For turrets I used the same stripes from main roof, but this time those are 10mm wide. And then the tip I made from rectangular tiles. To paint the roof tiles I used Payne's Grey and titanium white. I mixed them until I was satisfied with the color. But I need a slightly darker shade because later we will add some highlights to it. I started painting from the front roof and then I moved to the main roof. In the meantime, are there other games that you would like to see as a console cover? Just let me know down below. For next layer I use the same paint but with a bit of grey color from previous steps. I load the brush with a small amount of paint and then wipe most of it on a piece of paper until the brush was nearly dry. Then I lightly drag it across the roof tiles. I'm adjusting the pressure to create the depth on the surface and highlights on the edges. We are close to finish this case, but before that we need to ensure good airflow for the console. The bottom stand is 5 mm high and is the same as our one layer of bricks on the wall. I cut the bottom bricks and shaped the channel inside the case. It was done on both sides and also in the front. Here the air will flow through the door, but the inner side I cut wider. Cut foam got a missing layer of black paint and we can move to cover the hole where the door should be placed. Doors will reflect the deepest cutout in the portal. On each door leaf I press square shapes to create illusion of depth. For the paint I use burnt sienna and black to darken that color. The entrance got a layer of deeper black paint and we can move to attach the door. I use hot glue to attach it. It's fast and enough for it. I left the door slightly open so it will be more interesting and better for inner hole for the air. Now something special. I received a package with a pocket clock. I plan to hang it in the portal. It requires some rework to remove the cover, but after playing with the drummer, I separated the cover from the clock. It will refer to the original idea, but also add a real function for this console case. I use a chain which was delivered together with the clock to hang it in the case. I use epoxy glue to attach the chain to the clock case and hot glue between the chain and the foam. Thank you for watching. Please like for more builds like this, and I will be grateful if you could leave a comment what next game as a console cover you would like to see.